All right, well, good morning and welcome everyone. Hopefully we are having a good start to this Wednesday. To be consistent with what I have done in the past, when we got to those moments in our elect process and every step of the way as we've gone through it in terms of the certification and all that stuff, we know today is a day in which the 46th President of the United States will be inaugurated. And that person is the President-elect Joe Biden will be sworn in at noon to officially become the President of the United States. And earlier today, President Donald Trump has exited, and he boarded Marine One, which then touched down at Andrews Base, where he boarded Air Force One to go to Florida. And so with this inauguration, we are having our transition from one government to another, or one administration to another. But we will not have President Donald Trump present, and so he will be one of four presidents who hadn't been present at this inauguration, where we see the transition. The two Adams, John Adams and John Q. Adams, and Andrew Johnson would be the previous presidents who had not attended the inauguration. And there are reasons that go into why they perhaps chose not to be there at that moment. All right, but today, big day, a president is going to be sworn in. All right, does anyone have like any thoughts or any comments that they would like to make? Feel free to unmute or put into the chat. So, good question. Will there be violence? We will, who knows, right? Who knows with the type of situation we find ourselves in. January 6th had shown that violence is possible. Well, we do know that our nation's capital has about 25,000 troops stationed and guardsmen stationed, and one would say we haven't had that level of troops in Washington, D.C. since the U.S. Civil War. So the nation's capital is, one would say, gives the appearance that it's secure. And around the United States and in our territories as well, the capitals have been on high alert to be aware of potential violence. And so each of our states' capitals have been amping up their security as well. So we'll find out if there is violence or not. And you could probably anticipate that there's going to be some type of protest, but is it going to be violent? Hey, we'll find out. We'll find out. All right, anyone else got any thoughts or questions? All right, so just kind of wrap it up a little bit. Today is more of a pomp and circumstance, formal type day in which you get the swearing in of the president, swearing in of the vice president. Then there's usually some type of ceremonies throughout the day, but scale back because of COVID-19, and as well as with security issues, the day has been scaled back a little bit. And but you can also anticipate that the new president will probably make some statements, probably issue some executive orders, which they typically do as well. And then the process of getting down to business, that first 100 days kind of sets the tone, kind of sets the standard of their administration. And so we will see, what happens in these upcoming 100 days on the direction that the country would go under President number 46, which is Joe Biden. All right, moving forward here, to get down to the business here, we still are looking at the Second World War. And just a few housekeeping items before we get to it. Again, the counselors want us to continue to send out the message that registration is going on, and they would like to have registration completed on January 22nd, which is Friday. And if you do not get it done by January 22nd, I'm sure that they will schedule a meeting or find a way to get you to have complete that registration. There have been some questions about if, for those who are interested in year 2 of this course, it is called IB 20th Century World History, HL Year 2. Year 1 is called History of the Americas. Year 2 is 20th Century World History. It's a 2-year history course. And by taking this course, the 20th century course, it does fulfill your requirements for economics and political science. So if you have questions or concerns about social studies, feel free to reach out, ask me. You can do that at the end of this Google Meet, or send me a note. And if you have questions again about registration that maybe I can't address or someone else needs to, be sure you reach out to those teachers that you need to, or to your counselor. All right, but let's get registration done, and that way we can get that off the table and focus on some other tasks at hand. Okay. All right. So the Second World War, you are looking at the atomic bomb. All right. And by the United States detonating the atomic bomb in July of 1945, we now join an exclusive club of one in the nuclear club. We're the only country that has it. And part of our motivation was that we wanted to get the atomic bomb put together and be the first to have it, because our concern was Germany was working on it. We didn't want them to have it, and who knows what they would have done. All right, and so United States has it in 1945, and then about 4 years later, 1949, that nuclear club's going to expand, and the Soviet Union is going to join it, and then we'll have a nuclear club of 2. Of course, when you look at that assignment that you're working on, analyzing various aspects of it, and a new president is going to have the task of trying to understand what this weapon is and its potential uses of it, and make that ultimate decision. So I have a video clip here. It's called Truman and the Atomic Bomb. I want us to look at it and again think about some takeaways from it, and then move a little bit further into this assignment. Okay, and if you have any questions, again, feel free to always put it in the chat or unmute. Be fantastic. Let me get this video clip here. Okay, and because we are dealing with the atomic bomb, and especially with the Second World War, some of the images might be graphic, and so let's just be a little sensitive and understand. Again, it's there is some discretion when we watch this. All right, I will mute myself.
American planes dropped 2,000 tons of napalm on Tokyo, burning 16 square miles of the city to the ground. In a single day, 100,000 Japanese were killed.
What has changed in the war is a redefinition of what is a target. Legitimate target is not simply a city, but people in the city who are primarily non-combatants, in what is a redefined, virtually total war, so that everybody becomes a target.
The bombing destroyed nearly all of Japan's big cities and killed more than 500,000 civilians. Still, the Japanese fought on. But America had been developing a weapon that might force the Japanese to surrender. Just 13 days in office, Truman was handed a memorandum by Secretary of War Stimson. Within 4 months, Truman read, "We shall, in all probability, have completed the most terrible weapon ever known in human history." Stimson went on to tell Truman about the secret site in New Mexico, where scientists had been working round the clock for the past 2.5 years to fashion a weapon out of the elemental forces of the universe. Truman did not know that some of the scientists who had helped create the bomb were actively attempting to limit its use. They advocated a demonstration bomb that would convince the Japanese to surrender. Their petitions never reached the president, but it is unlikely they could have changed his mind.
All his advisors, without exception, recommended the use of the bomb just as soon as it was available. And he agreed with them.
If the weapon could stop the killing, then it was felt it had to be used. Was it right? Was it wrong? I don't think that was the issue. I think they saw it as necessary.
He's aware that it'll be much more than a military target. It'll kill large numbers of ordinary civilians. But you must remember, he, like all other Americans, saw this as a war against evil. And there was a lot of evil out there, real evil, on the part of the Nazis and Japanese militarism, fascism. In that sense, he can believe that the bomb is justified and that this greatest weapon ever developed has a place in overcoming or combating evil.
August 6th, the Enola Gay, carrying a 4-ton atomic bomb, was heading out over the Pacific Ocean toward Japan. At 8:15 a.m., the atomic bomb dropped clear of the Enola Gay. 43 seconds later, it exploded over Hiroshima. The atomic bomb had killed more than 80,000 men, women, and children. Tens of thousands more would die from radiation sickness in the days and years to come. 3 days after the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, the Soviet Union declared war on Japan. But still, there was no word of surrender. August 9th, 11 a.m. A second atomic bomb was dropped on the Japanese seaport of Nagasaki. In 1/10 of 1/1,000,000th of a second, the city was destroyed. Another 3,000 people were killed. August 14th. The simple reason Truman always gave for using the atomic bomb was to end the war and save lives. Now, after nearly 4 years, Japan surrendered. The war was over. I made the only decision I ever knew how to make, Truman wrote. I did what I thought was right.
All right. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions about that particular video clip? Feel free to unmute or put into the chat your thoughts or reactions to the dropping of those atomic bombs and the decisions by Truman. We know that the atomic age has begun as a result of the dropping of the bombs, and it will become something that hangs over the political scene for the next 45 some years in the Cold War. We'll have that ideological war, and the specter of nuclear annihilation is there. In so many ways, nuclear weapons became a deterrent in the Cold War, and they were looking for ways to try to kind of limit the nuclear proliferation. And we do know in contemporary times that there are several nations that have expanded their, I guess their studies and have developed nuclear capabilities. We do know of Iran and North Korea are two that kind of loom over this geopolitical scene here. But going back to this, so you have the bombs that have been dropped, and now almost immediately the discussion is the necessity of it. And so in your assignment, and I want to focus on that right now, there are varying opinions of was it necessary to drop it? And it comes out in the discussions by the scientists, by the military and political leaders of that time. And then almost immediately after the bombs are dropped, we are having that discussion as a society. So it's not necessarily something that we do now. It's something that had also been discussed back then as well. And in 1946, and I encourage you to read it if you haven't read it, in the New Yorker magazine, and it's also in a book form, there is an article that was published by John Hershey called Hiroshima. All right. And it's a book that I had read when I was in ninth grade. And it really is looking at, from the lens of people who lived in Hiroshima the day or during the time that the bomb had gone off. And just recollect, what that day meant and days after meant to them. And so that was that human side of the story that was being told, and that was starting to play a role in determining policies in regards to nuclear weapons and the Cold War and so forth. So I guess my question to you is, do you have any concerns about this assignment? If there's something that needs to get clarified or we're struggling with in understanding, please let me know at this time. Okay. Again, if you do have questions or concerns, you always know how to get hold of me, and I will address them at that point. Just bear in mind too, if for some reason you have not, you've got some missing assignments and you did not meet the deadline, please, you got to reach out if you want me to look at it, correct it, and give you some points for it. Yesterday was the deadline. Tomorrow, Thursday, is the end of the trimester. And speaking of that, tomorrow I will not have a live Google Meet. I just want you to take some time to get this assignment done and submit it, so we can finish this trimester strong, or hexmester, as we might call it, before we move into 2.2. I do want to say thank you for being good participants in attending the Google Meets. Know that we still have 1 day left of the trimester, but we are not going to meet as a class on that day. All right. And so with that, if you don't have any questions, you are free to exit and have a great day, or stay on and just hit me with the questions.
Thank you.